Alright, should be recording. Looks like we are. It's going medieval. Key was provided by Tinsley PR. Way back when it first... Actually, there was a preview and then I entered early access. And I actually don't remember which key it was, because it's possible that the preview key didn't last. But what are they complaining about? Kind of loud resources. I strongly doubt that's actually true. Yeah, I got plenty of wood for that stuff. Oh, boy. So yeah, I do have some things I made notes of. One of them I only just realized I didn't put in the write-up for Friday. I'm not sure I will, unless I can find definite sources, and I'm just not sure if I will be. And that one is apparently Square Enix is looking to end its PlayStation exclusivity, which is somewhat significant. I mean, I will grant, some Square Enix games, but not a whole lot do I follow. I think I've even mentioned that before, like, there's a reason why I'll see news about, like, Final Fantasy stuff, but it's like, I don't really care. I mean, it's one thing to write up, say, and there is also, I don't do console news, I don't. Like, some of the Final Fantasy stuff, especially, which one is it that's the MMO at the moment? It's like, yeah, I don't. Some of this is if I don't care, I don't talk about. Like, there was actually one thing that's like, oh, I could write this up, but then as I'm reading through, it's like, oh, this is console only, good, I don't care. I'm sorry, EA College Football 25 got its release date, but then I saw, oh, it's a console only game. It's like, I don't really care too much about many sports games. And that kind of thing would, that specific kind of game, no, really wouldn't care. But it's like, yeah, I need to write some stuff up because it's actually been kind of a light week. It might be because next week we've got the Indie Live Expo in Japan, so it might be that things are being held off until then. Oh, that's right. Made that... Huh? It's kind of interesting how the coloring is. Okay, that's very weird. It almost looked like I was changing the stuff that hadn't yet been built. Anyway, why are you suffering from the cold? You're wearing summer clothes, that'll do it. Okay, I'm gonna wait to tell them go to winter because they're stupid and it's raining, so like they will just strip immediately. I mean, that legitimately is also something that's stupid. You should be able to tell them just go and put the right stuff on. Okay, seems like the rain has stopped. And I do not trust to just leave them on all. I'm pretty sure it has been a while, but I'm pretty sure it will. I'm pretty sure that if I do that, it will. When I've done it before, let it be on all. They just don't change. So they'll complain about being cold. It's like, yeah, you're wearing the wrong clothing. Like I've never been impressed with the AI in this game. Anyway, going back quite a bit. The let's do that. Anyway, so yeah, Square Enix potentially going multi-platform, which it's actually kind of weird this day and age that you would still see that you'd still see companies not be multi-platform. Well, actually, no. Let me correct that. Because they've been putting some stuff out on PC, including like the main Square Enix itself stuff. So it must just be like ending, like also going to Xbox, and it's like, makes sense. Especially because aren't there rumors about a PlayStation 6 already? Like the next generation consoles, or at least a refresh. I'm just thinking it may make sense as far as like this would be the time to start. Come on. The time to start thinking about which one to do next, and also just getting the most out of the current consoles that you can, which would mean then go to everything. But some also, I've seen some talking about, this seems to show that Square Enix is just getting fed up with how some things are going, and they want to just diversify as they can. Although also some point out, and I do remember this, that they basically pulled out of various Western studios that they own. Which is not really a positive thing, but if it's what they feel they need to do, I guess they're gonna do it. What else have I got for notes? I do have notes about the Assassin's Creed stuff, but I want to talk about this first. Devolver Digital has turned 15, which is kind of you know what? When Devolver Digital turns 18 or 21, that's when it's good that they're gonna do something weird. Then I'm certain, because it's Devolver, they always do weird stuff. But that would be like extra weird. But yeah, it's pretty neat. For those of you that don't know, Devolver Digital is a publisher. They specialize in indie games, and they will basically just do whatever. Yeah, I mean, it's like if they think it'll be a good game, they'll support it. They'll publish it. So they have games such as Talos Principle 1 and 2, Gris, but then they've also done like General Jousting. I mean, it's like these are wildly different games, but it's like they thought they could do it. They thought it would be worth taking the bet, and so they did. And I've never played General Jousting, but at least Gris, Talos Principle 1 are both very well, and Talos Principle 2 are both. All three of those are very easy for me to recommend, along with plenty of other Devolver Digital games. It's been a while since I've ranted about Talos Principle. The first one, the story is so good in that. Road to Gehenna, I think, does damage, but Talos Principle 2 gameplay, I think, is better than Talos Principle 1, but the story is inferior. Anyway, so yeah, to celebrate, they are having at least a Steam sale that goes until the 23rd, I think. So 23rd. So you've got some time to explore and pick things up there. There are plenty of very good Devolver Digital games, so I would recommend you take a look at least. Ooh. You know, it's kind of funny. You can't, like, have that as a job to go talk to them. You always have to interrupt. Hmm. You know what? Yeah, let's actually sell all of the summer clothes. I will just schedule for more to be made. I don't think I want to do that, though. I don't think I want to sell those. Seriously? Oh. Wow. Alright, well. They can afford it. Um... 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Yeah, don't really like the idea of doing it this way, but I'll do it this way. Oh, wait. Actually, yeah, leave that. Okay. Leave that as that is. So, doing this, somebody will make up the 9 of these, so I'll have one for everyone. But it's like, once they're being worn, it no longer counts them. Which I'm kind of okay with, but I don't want to set the winter clothes to that yet, because then, once they get made and put on, then it's just, they're all going to be remade, and it's like, nah, I want to focus on the summer, getting the summer replacement clothes first. Alright, I'm just trying to think what else do I have to talk about besides the AC stuff. I think that's it, because I did mention the Devolver sale. I've enjoyed the Assassin's Creed franchise for a while. Even though the last game I played was Valhalla, so what was it, Mirage? Was that the more recent one? I haven't played it. I don't know if I'd bother with it, but I even reviewed Assassin's Creed 1, 2, Brotherhood, Revelations, 3, Black Flag, Unity, Syndicate. Syndicate is so often forgotten. It's really funny. Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation, that spin-off, that's, in my opinion, crap. Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla. Played and reviewed all of them. Yeah, the Syndicate thing is funny because, like, when Odyssey came out, it was like, hey, we finally get to be a female assassin. It's like, well, there's Assassin's Creed Liberation where you played as a female assassin, but as I said, that game's crap. And it was a spin-off thing. I can understand people being like, we don't count that one. Alright. But Syndicate, you played as twins, brother and sister, and you could play as either through the whole of the game, and it seemed like people just totally forgot that when we got to Odyssey. Anyway, I will grant... Okay, Unity and Syndicate are similar in that they were both just Assassin's Creed games. They had their problems, but for the franchise, it's, what you would basically expect is my memory for them. I would definitely say, though, that of those original set of games, the Ezio trilogy is the best. I mean, it's like the best Assassin's Creed game is like an amalgamation of those three. The best single game of them, I would say, is Black Flag. Like, the most just enjoyable and fun is that one of that grouping. With the trilogy that's Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla, Odyssey is my favorite of the three, but Valhalla, man, I cannot help but talk about one thing, because in open world games will just go exploring, go everywhere, try to do everything. I think I want to go to that. And Valhalla, man, I don't know how they did it. In theory, it could have been like AI kind of stuff to help them generate some of it. Although it would have been development would have been old enough, maybe not. But the whole basically just pick a direction and go, and just see what I find and such. Valhalla was a lot of fun with that because it felt like it was. Oh, duh. That's why they haven't been. Because it felt like, yes, I was going out and finding things, but a lot of what I found didn't feel just like, oh, it's the same thing. It's, these runes, do this, you get something. It felt like each thing was unique, had its own little bit to it. And it's like, even The Witcher 3, that is a really good game. Really good game. Great game. Even that, pick a direction and go, and it's like, yeah, a lot of the stuff, it was basically the same stuff, it's just in different places. Valhalla, no, it always felt different. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed that, but I think Odyssey is the best of those three. I love Greco-Roman mythology, though, so yeah, that would be the case for me. Like that's what you would expect. But yeah, so the Assassin's Creed Shadows stuff, which I've seen some... Oh my god, I don't know why they're doing what they're doing. So for those of you that don't know, Assassin's Creed Shadows is finally giving what... personally, I'm kind of indifferent one way or the other for it, but they finally gave what so much of the community has been asking for years. Like, from the beginning. An Assassin's Creed game set in Japan. This has been desired for so freaking long. They're finally doing it. But they're doing something that some people are like, why? And this isn't right. There's two protagonists you can choose to play as. I don't remember both their names, but one, Japanese woman. Okay? And in the artwork, it seems she's meant to be more so the ninja. Not in any special armor, just dark clothes. Fine, makes sense. That's part of the reason why people have been wanting Assassin's Creed in Japan, so you can be a ninja. The other is a samurai, like in that full regalia, but as a black man. And it's like, this is Japan? Why are we not going to be able to play as a Japanese man? And, yeah, it is interesting because historically, yeah, I can't... Yasuke? Was that his name? I'm probably saying it wrong. But there was, in fact, a black man in Japan that they are trying to reference here, and he was a warrior, apparently. It seems like some records are a little uncertain with some aspects of it, but there was a black man in Japan who did serve under a warlord. But, and this is where it gets very, very important, he was not a samurai. Except in a loose definition of the term samurai. From what I could find. And he was talked about in some stuff a few years ago because of a new anime that was concerned with him. Which, true, again, anime, it's going to be somewhat fictionalized. But what I saw talked about there was that, when looking this stuff up, was basically that, yeah, he was a samurai. If we count everyone who just was a warrior under the warlord as a samurai. Who, if you just fought and were under the warlord, you're a samurai. It's like, yeah, that's not what people think about when they think of samurai. They think of, elite warriors, where, these are the best warriors, highly trained, code, special code to them, in Japan. Not just we worked for that guy. So, yeah. This is... I get that it's a game. And it is historical fiction, but there was always an element with a lot of the older games. And this is actually part of the reason why I think that after Syndicate, they needed to do the reset that they did that got them to Origins. Because they kept moving the timeline up. Assassin's Creed was set in, like, the 11th century. Okay, that's right. I want... No, we can actually use the same stuff as there. Thought I had, like, a wall shelf. It's just those. Oh, wait, hang on. Yes, I can move those, so. I just realized they are in here to eat those herbs. So if I put them down there, then I can maybe eat this stuff anymore. Oh well. they'll have to find food elsewhere. Alright, we can get some stuff slaughtered. But yeah, so as I was saying, they definitely had an element of historical fiction from the start. Assassin's Creed 1 was around 11th century. What was it, 15th century? I think it was the 1400s for the Ezio trilogy. Assassin's Creed 3 was 18th. 4 was 17th. Because you're playing in that, in 3 you're playing as Connor, or Ryotiwa Khan, I think I'm pronouncing that name correctly. But then in 4 you're actually playing as his grandfather, so you're going back a bit. But then Unity, you were set 18th or 19th century France. And then Syndicate was definitely 19th century. And it's like you're moving up, and it's like part of the thing to me with the... I should be paying more attention to do this stuff. Holy crap, I got a lot of chickens. I did not realize that. Okay. Yeah, we got plenty of the female chickens, the hens, so we can give it a that. Just young? I'm guessing that one was like just born then. That's, well, honestly, I should start, like, getting rid of some of the dogs. Because that is a bit absurd. But I'll just release them. So that leaves, what? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. Okay, so it'll be 4 and 4 for the dogs. But yeah, because there's, especially with the, like, Assassin's Creed 1 and the Ezio trilogy, well, yeah, it's historical fiction, but there's still an element of it's far enough back that these things could have actually been happening, and we just don't remember it. Like, there was an element there where it's like, this is not totally ahistorical. It was more just, hey, what if this happened? What if this were the case, kind of stuff. But as you got closer, like with Syndicate, where you actually had some missions that gave you, like, a flash forward that were, like, the granddaughter, I think it was? I don't quite remember, but a descendant. And it was actually set in World War One, so you were into the 20th century. And it was one of those, yeah, I get that you're moving up like this, but it's like, you can't get to modern day, because, like, you could never do Assassin's Creed games set in World War II. You could never do it. That is too modern of history. That, well, there's certainly a lot of history from World War II that is forgotten. There's still enough that is remembered that you would not be able to suggest that there's this massive Templar conspiracy and massive assassins conspiracy going on, completely unknown to everyone else. It's like, no, you wouldn't work. But so there was always that element. Then with Origins and Odyssey, I mean, Odyssey, they straight up say, yeah, you're going so far back in time that that the Animus has to make things up. Like, that's the justification for why there are mythological beasts in it. Is that, yeah, it's so old, it has to fill stuff in, and that's what it's pulling from, is mythology. And it's like, okay, I'm good with that, no problem there. But, and then with Valhalla, I don't remember when that was that? I think that technically was also 11th century, like it was it's technically set very near when the first Assassin's Creed was. It's like mainly just a different location. I don't remember if it's technically a prequel to it, but not a prequel, but technically set earlier than it. It's not a prequel because I don't think it was really setting anything up for Assassin's Creed. That I can recall, but it is just, I think it was around the same time period, roughly. but it's like, you had those elements of, it's like, it's historical fiction, it's not just straight up a history, whereas this, it definitely seems like they're just being ahistorical, meaning it's not real history. Um, which is truly a shame. Yeah, very high. Because you will have some people that enjoy it for the historical fiction aspect, where it's like, a history buff, where it's like, hey, I recognize this, I know this period. Yeah, they're doing this stuff, but hey, it's okay because I'm having fun here. But when it's getting to like, yeah, we're just saying that people are things that they weren't. It's like, what? That there will be people that'll be like, no, I'm not doing that. I mean, remember, this is also a series that was Origins the first one that had the Discovery Tour, where it's like you could actually go through the world and it would have things telling you about the actual history of the places and the setting at the time period. Places, part of setting. It's like, okay, that's really cool. That's awesome. But then it's like, how could they do it here? Where it's like, yeah, this main character would never have been in these positions. Like, we're calling him something that he almost certainly never was. I mean, it's... I think yeah, actually, now that I think about it, they also just shouldn't be having any main character be a real figure like that. Now, true, there are limited records on him, but it still is... It gets dangerous when you do that. It's better when you're just in the periphery of actual real people. So, like in the Ezio trilogy, you have to deal with the Borgias, real people, but Ezio Auditore never existed. So him being erased from history, very possible. Whereas the Borgias obviously are not erased from history. We do know them. Trying to remember of anyone like that in the other games. Like, very specific. Syndicate, they did have one character who was real, who can't remember her name, but she was an interesting character because she dressed as a man in order. I mean, she basically had a great mind for business, and that was the way she could actually do business because no one would take her seriously. Just because she was a woman, so no one would take her seriously as a business person. So she would dress like that. I don't remember. Wait, no, I think in Unity you actually interact with Napoleon at times. I don't quite remember. It's been long enough. But in Syndicate, the flash forwards there, it was Winston Churchill you were interacting with, a young Winston Churchill. And it's like, that works. But with this, no, this is actually somebody that there are some records on. There is some history about. Yeah, that actually... That is a really bad idea as I think about it. I mean, it's like, that is one of those they should... Like, somebody should have just been like, we shouldn't pick him. Why? You don't want, to have the main character that's black? No, I don't want one that is actually from history. I mean, it's like, that's a fair argument. It is very dangerous doing that. Because it does definitely push you out of this, like, historical fiction where it's like, hey, this is possible, and into a history where it's like, no, we're going to have to contradict records. But it's... I don't know, we'll see. Maybe it'll end up being a really good game. Many people are not expecting that, it seems, but... I don't know. I mean, I've been letting other things take my time, so I haven't been doing as much gaming. But I will grant that I would actually like to replay these Assassin's Creed games that I have. Well, at least one through the Ezio trilogy. I don't know if I want to do three. Like for Let's Play Pluses. But I don't know, I've got other things I want to focus my time on. Started writing a new book this week and things like that. I wouldn't need to do Origins, Odyssey, or Valhalla because I already have those Let's Plays. Not Let's Plays, those review playthroughs. Um, I don't know if I'd want to go to doing some of the newer games. I think it's just I'm getting too old for some of the like, hey, I got to get always the newest game. When I've got other things that can and do take my time. But I think it's also just I have such a backlog of games and things that I'd like to do in them. I was like one game I've been playing. Not I haven't actually touched it for a while. Yeah, I can look in theory. Uh, keep scrolling. Here's yeah. It's been almost 2 weeks since I last played Titan Quest, and I've been working through that. Playing as a summoner to see how that is. And I'm almost I've almost unlocked the legendary. Is that it? The highest replay difficulty because it's like normal, heroic, and then legendary. I'm almost to that. Um, I have other things I want to do today though, so I won't be today that I get through more of that. But yeah, there's also I've just got such a backlog of games or just games I want to replay. I don't think I need some of the newer games. And it is also I want to focus on the writing. But yeah, let me just check. Do I have any? Yes, it is winter. Yeah. I mean, it's basically all that I've already said in my notes concerning this. And it is, as I was trying to explain, that this does not feel to me like it can be historical fiction like, um, like the prior games were. And to me, that is a definite loss. That is a definite loss to me. Um, I guess that's. Oh, no. Okay, yes, priority is at high. That's what. Um, yeah, and like in that is the key thing to me. Is that the historical fiction made it more interesting, and this seems to be more so a history. So I will say this though, because I know some people are talking about the whole, the Assassin's Creed games. You played one, you played them all. It's like, well, yeah, but I mean, it's also if it works, why not keep doing it? I'm sorry. I just find this whole obsession with it. Okay, I shouldn't say it's an obsession. It seems like an obsession at times. But people are like, oh, it's always the same thing. Why would you play? It's like, well, why not? I mean, if you enjoyed one game and another one is similar to it, why wouldn't you play it? I mean, isn't that how recommendations work? Hey, oh, you enjoyed that game? Hey, you should really try this game as well. It's similar. I mean, it just seems odd, and it's also like the idea that oh no, every game has to be innovative. It's like, yeah, that'd be great. That's never gonna happen. I mean, it's like the whole with stories. Some people say there's only so many stories. I understand their point, but I do disagree with it in the negative way. Um, I mean, it's like, Romeo and Juliet is not the original version of a romantic tragedy. Um, and, and there have been many versions of it since. And it's like, okay, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. If they're good, people remember them. And it's like people still remember the original West Side Story, such that there was a remake. How many years ago was that? Um, but how many people remember the um, Romeo and Juliet that had Leonardo DiCaprio? I think that would have been in the 2000s. It might have been in the 90s. But they tried to set it more modern, more up to date, and oh my god, with this, I've seen. I saw it in high school. Like it was shown to us in class. And one thing, it's like one of the fathers, it's like is going to grab his sword. In the actual play, would be grabbing a sword to go out and fight. And what does he actually grab? Because it's that modern day, a shotgun that has a plaque on it, indicating its name is Sword. I'm dead serious. That was just silly. Um, but so that one isn't necessarily remembered, but West Side Story is, and it's like it's straight up just Romeo and Juliet, but in a modern retelling. So there's nothing wrong with repetition like that. So I don't understand the people that are like, oh well, they're all just the same, so you really shouldn't play them. It's like that's doesn't stop us from consuming a whole lot of shit. What are you talking about? Um, Plus, you also get into the issue there of at what point do these things, at what point are they different enough? So, I'm just trying to remember which. Like Far Cry 2, a lot of people love. I also really like, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people do also like Far Cry 3. One of the reasons that Far Cry 3 is awesome to me is I'm pretty sure that's one where we got the wingsuit. Actually, no, I know a better one because a better series. Just Cause 2 and Just Cause 3. Both very good, excellent games. Easy for me to recommend. Just Cause 3 does actually innovate over Just Cause 2, and one of those innovations is a wingsuit. Oh man, it's so fun to just go around with that, especially with Rico's grappling hook. It's so great. So it's like, okay, Just Cause 3, that's an improvement, that's innovative. But it's like, okay, so that has that line there, but then what about 3 to 4? Which I would say 4 felt very much like 3, so there's really no point to it. Sorry, it really didn't feel like they innovated there. But it's still, it's like, it's not a bad game. It's, you know, like, if you enjoyed Just Cause 3, you probably enjoy Just Cause 4. Just understand, it's basically just Cause 3 again. Without as bright a color palette, unfortunately. Anyway, but I do just wonder, it's like, okay, well, where's that line? Because for some people, it might be like, that's enough for 2 to 3, that's enough for it to be new. But for other people, it might be like, nah, it's still the same old, just go out and blow stuff up. It's like, okay, but what's wrong with that? Also, I mean, it's, I don't know, there's a reason why, well, there are multiple reasons why when reviewing game, I just come down to, do I recommend it or do I not recommend it? And everyone does have on Winter Gear, good. Not exactly sure why I bothered doing that. No? There we go. Come on. What the hell am I even hearing? Okay, that's on high. How these seem to be doing alright. I will be stopping here. Yeah, actually, let me just do that now. I just wanted to check that things were, the temperatures are right for things. But yeah, I don't like the idea of trying to score games in any case. Because it would then just, you know, to me, it's just, well, would I recommend it? Is it fun to play or not? That really is what it boils down to. And it's like, yeah, just cause, and it has been a while, World Grand. I think that, well, actually, no, now that I'm over here, I can look. Okay, just cause, oh, I don't have a recommendation level for it. Because I must have played that before then, so I'll have to actually pull up the review. My guess, based on my memory, is I did recommend it, but I gave the massive qualification that, yeah, it's Just Cause 3. If you enjoyed that, if you have that, you can just keep playing that. Yeah. Yeah, that is like the opening paragraph where I tried to with my conclusions. The first paragraph is like just a very basic summary of for the recommendation. Then I get into the more specifics after that. Yeah, is there a good reason to get Just Cause 4? I think so, but I also think some might be happier waiting for a sale on it. Hey, I have enjoyed the game, but I still feel I should add that qualification because at times it felt rather familiar, like the previous Just Cause games. That makes it harder to say it is a buy it now experience. If you have enjoyed the previous games or just want a fun and explosion-filled experience, I think you will be satisfied here. Um, yeah, and it's so I do kind of wonder. I mean, yes, for me that is a. I mean, it's as that itself captures. I still recommend playing the game. It's just yeah, get it on sale because if the previous games are, it's so familiar to those, you don't need to get this one. So yeah, I don't know. I feel that some of the some of the negative reaction to the Assassin's Creed Shadows stuff is also fueled by just a dislike for the Assassin's Creed series because it is, in various ways, it has been kind of repetitive, especially in the original set. Um, I don't know about the more modern trilogy though. I mean, because they did definitely retool a lot, but it is also, I mean, yeah. Then you run into the issue of like, oh yeah, the Ezio trilogy was so great. It's like, yeah, Brotherhood and Revelations are derivative of Assassin's Creed 2. It was like Brotherhood headed in the managing of the Brotherhood, but a lot of the gameplay was very similar. And same could be said for Revelations, but they were good games. It's like, but they were repetitive, weren't they? Weren't they derivative? But they were good. I mean, it's kind of a short circuit there. Um, man. But I mean, it's I could just see that some are just going at it, or are going at it with more energy because of that. But I do also believe, yeah, that even though I haven't spent too much time looking, but some, unfortunately, as I said, that there is stuff like 2-3 years ago talking about this very same historical figure that if you keep reading and not just go by the headlines that do describe him as a samurai, it does say in there he's a samurai in that he was a warrior for this warlord. And at this time, we're just using that definition of samurai as opposed to him being like an elite trained, specially trained warrior before that. Um, but it is also interesting because I've seen some people point out that him being a black man also he may have been kept by the warlord. Like he was an employee. It's one thing that he may have initially been a slave, but by this point in his life he was free. He had been freed, but that the warlord may have kept him close and in his court and such, in part because he was so different to everyone else. And it's like one of the stories was that supposedly the warlord, upon meeting him, instructed that he go and be bathed, thinking that he just had black ink over him. But then it's like it's not coming off, and that's when it's like, wait, people have such different skin color? I had no idea. It's so I've seen some point out that he may have just been kept around because he was a novelty, which is a real shame. No one should be treated that way. But it's still, well, I mean, he would have been. You wouldn't keep someone around that you also didn't like. But at least I would find that very unlikely. And it sounded like he was at least a retainer, so he was like helping. He was directly with the warlord at times, so they would have been companions and friends. But samurai only by that loose definition. So yeah, and I do not know. I really just don't know how this is gonna go. Because it is also, as I've heard some people point out, you finally gave us a game set in an Assassin's Creed game set in Japan, but you're not letting us play as a Japanese man. Why? I mean, that is a weird one. That really is weird. How do you explain this? Um, it would be like to use Assassin's Creed 3 as a different point of reference. It's like, hey, you finally gave us one set during the American Revolution. Awesome. But you make us play as the English? I mean, it would be like that as opposed to one of the American colonists, or as what they did do. Well, technically he was mixed, but an American Indian. I mean, it's like that's what people want. And it's like if that's the setting, that's the character it makes sense to play as. it doesn't make sense to play as this immigrant. Um, and it's yeah, I do not know. I really don't know. But it was also giving me one thought because of all the layoffs and such. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily correct to say that what's happening with the games industry, the AAA games industry, is a crash. I think it's more so a correction. It might become a crash, but I do think that it is just correcting that there's been way too much money in it for too long, and belts are being tightened, and that's part of the cause for the layoffs. But as I've said was it last week or 2 weeks ago, the people that have the skills that are being laid off, they're going to be able to start their own indie companies. I'm not overly concerned with a lot of this. Like they will land on their feet. It's the people without the skills that are going to have trouble, and it's like, well, they shouldn't have been in the position that they were in then. Like they should have found a job somewhere else that would be a better match for their skills and temperament. Anyway, it did get me thinking, what would happen if Ubisoft collapsed? Like completely, and things had to break out in different groups. And it was interesting to think about, because I could see there being one group that's like just the Tom Clancy group. Because there's enough, I mean, you got what? Splinter Cell, Recon, Rainbow Six, The Division. I'm sure I'm forgetting some. But right there, I just named 4 that these are covering different genres as well. Splinter Cell is stealth, is an action stealth game. Recon and Division are both open world games. So yes, it is Recon. I had to stop and think because I reviewed Recon Breakpoint. I think I also have Wildlands. I don't remember if I've played it. But with Recon, it's open world. But it's different from The Division, which is also open world. The Division is urban. Recon is more many distinct natural biomes. But Division, with the urban environment, it makes a bit more sense that can be an MMO, which it is. And then you've got Rainbow Six, that's the PvP, small group PvP, PvE. So it's like, you've got these 4 different series there, 4 different franchises under Tom Clancy, under the larger Tom Clancy franchise, that you could break that off, have that its own group, and that would actually work. You would just need people actually dedicated and like doing a cycle through those. I mean, imagine it having a 4-year cycle, so 1 releases each year, but from the different genres. Different series. I think that could work. I honestly think that could work. I don't know what you do with Assassin's Creed. I think you'd need to pair that up with others. Have a group that would be Assassin's Creed, Prince of Persia. What was the other one that I thought of? There was a third. Oh, Far Cry. That's right, because at least you've got the open world elements between Far Cry and Assassin's Creed. Prince of Persia, which I will grant, I've never played a Prince of Persia game. I do have some, but I've not played them yet. But you've got the stealth elements between Prince of Persia and Assassin's Creed, so there would be some connection there. And I do think that you could... It would have... I am assuming that all these new groups would be lean, that you would get rid of the people that you can't afford. That's like they that are not pulling sufficient weight to stay there. But yeah, I think there you could work with those 3. And then you could also have a group that would be like the Rabbids, the Rayman, Trials they could resuscitate in there. You know, the more smaller games, the ones that are much more focused to what specifically they are. And my brain just turned off. And share that commonality. And also, I was like, especially with Rabbids and Rayman, that's a bit more targeted towards kids. Not completely. I'm not saying that they are kids games, but they are more targeted there. So it's like you could have a group there like that, and undoubtedly plenty of other groups as well. Ubisoft does a lot, but it is just, I do kind of wonder what would happen if Ubisoft were to collapse. It is one of the big publishers. Like there's also EA, there's Activision. At least with Activision, if that collapsed, they bought up enough that there would be natural divisions. Like Blizzard would end up being its own thing again. EA already has special divisions, so you've got like the sports division, BioWare would probably end up going independent. Well, actually, I'm not sure. BioWare at this point is old enough that you might not be able to say it would separate off and be fine, because so many of the original people that made BioWare great, with like the original Dragon Age Origins, Knights of the Old Republic, things like that. Enough of those people have left and started their own studios. I don't know what would actually happen with BioWare, but it is just an interesting thought to consider for any of these. If with this correction that could become a crash, how will some of that fracture? But it is also going back to why I think it's more accurate to say it's going to be a correction, not a crash, is the indie space. In that it's the big guys that they just have had way too much money that they're wasting. That they're hiring, they were spending money on things that they shouldn't have been spending money on. That they thought that, oh yeah, we're going to keep making this money, so it's fine, we can do this. No, the bills are coming due on that. And that's why some of them are collapsing. It's like, yeah, we can't afford this anymore. We can't, spend $100 million on a game that only ends up making us $20 million. Things like that. I actually heard, what was it, like $50 million that Square Enix lost with the Avengers game? Which is wild when you think about it. I mean, it's like, at the time that game came out, it should have been able to succeed. Like, there should have been so much going for it. So for it to fail would mean, like, the gameplay design wasn't right, the story was too different from the MCU. Pricing also. I mean, it's like pricing could have been really bad. Oh yeah, also the online element, because that is one thing that, because there was that, crap, I'm trying to remember something, because wasn't something like it had such an online element that when they shut down, like, you can't buy the game anymore because they just killed off the servers. You can still play it if you already own it, but there's a lot of functionality that you don't have access to. Obviously, a lot of multiplayer, but it's like, because they were shutting down the servers for the multiplayer, they don't even want to sell it anymore. It's like, that's just wild when you think about it. So it's like so many bad decisions there, but it may have been made thinking, hey, we're guaranteed that this will sell really well because it's Marvel, it's the Avengers. And yeah, obviously we should have all these online components here because everyone's going to want that. That's how things are for the future. And it's like, yeah, but then nobody bought it. And it's like, getting back to the whole, hey, we actually need to try to save money on this because we don't know. It could fail. And it's that kind of correction, I think, is what I think that's what's going on, and that's why it's going to be more correction that's going to keep going on for a while. But it's indie is going to step up. The single A and double A games are going to step up because that's where you've got people where they are naturally going to be trying to save money because they don't have much. And it's like, a team of a dozen people working on it instead of hundreds or thousands. Like, I'm trying to remember what it was. What game it was. It was an Ubisoft game where somebody said that, yeah, there were over 6,000 people that worked on it. It's like, yeah, well, that they're probably including people that had the lightest of touches on there just because of the nature of credits today. But that compared to some, classic games that we could still name today, it was like Doom probably only had less than 24 people on. But everybody is familiar with Doom, and people still play Doom. They get it to run on everything because they love Doom. But these 6,000 person games, it's yeah. So yeah, it going back to the whole, no, we got it. We're small, we're lean because that's all. It's like, these are our friends, and that's all the money we got. That's not going to be a bad time for video games, and it's. Let me put it another way, relating it to Hollywood, because that is also going through. That is going through more of a crash. That is not so much a correction. That is a crash, because Hollywood has so gate-kept itself in that if you want to be a legitimate movie maker, you need to be in Hollywood, and suddenly you really have to climb a ladder that they have been pulling up for so many years. I mean, yeah, anyone can make a movie by pulling out their phone, but if you want it to look good, you need the right hardware. You need the right, yes, you need the right software. And some of that is, like, some of the hardware, okay, I can understand $10,000 for a camera, because some of those things are freaking awesome. But like $10,000 for a license for editing software is insanity. And now, to be fair though, $10,000 for that kind of license would be like to cover an entire studio. It would not be that much for one person. But it still is like some of that is so built around. We have millions of dollars we can throw around. It crashing, well, it cannot correct. It's a similar kind of bloat, but they cannot correct because it's too much built up on a house of cards. And very high up. The indie space taking over there is not going to be as easy as with video games, where it's like, I want to make my own. All right, I've been laid off. Well, I've had this idea for a game. I hope I can make it now that I have the time. I can just use Unreal Engine 4 or 5. That is that we're on. Because that's free. I can use Unity because that's free for now. I don't know. People might be like, stick with Unreal. But it's like, you have access to those. Where it's like, you can just go and do it if you have the skills. Hollywood is not like that. And it's also like, how do you get getting access to large number of theaters and such? I was like, a Hollywood crash will, that like what's going on is not a indies will take over from that. Hollywood has just too many tendrils and things where it's all just going to wither and die, which sucks because that does also include theaters withering and die. That's just how Hollywood has been doing it. I mean, here, at least with theaters, there's one thing that could happen that could save them. And I really should stop talking. I know. I'm sorry. There's one thing that can happen with theaters that can save them. The back catalog. I'm dead serious. In fact, one thing that I saw is because it's 20 years since The Lord of the Rings Return of the King came out, they are actually, for June, going to have all 3 films back in theaters, and for the first time, at least I'm very sure it's the first time, the extended editions in theater. Okay? That will probably save some theaters. I'm completely serious. There are going to be enough people that love those films that have either never seen them in theater or just want to see them in theater again, that the opportunity to go and watch them. And think about it, the licensing to do that is going to be low because those movies have certainly already been profitable. Okay, so it's not like a theater's having to pay a whole lot of money to get access, or that there's not some high return that has to go back to the studio for allowing them to play it. The theaters, there will be theaters. I'm completely serious. I definitely believe there will be theaters that is how they will be in the black for at least a quarter of the year. One economic quarter, one business quarter, whatever the hell you refer to those as. Fiscal quarters, there we go. If you had some of these other studios, though, start opening up more of their back catalog for stuff like that, oh my god, theaters would love it and would be thriving because there's a lot of amazing amazing movies that are just old. But they are classics. I mean, it's like I've got a stack here. I've got Alien, like the original Alien. I mean, come on, that's. Actually, I think that did come back to theaters for a little bit. But Casablanca, Jaws, Witness for the Prosecution, The Manchurian Candidate, the original, Double Indemnity, Flight of the Phoenix, The Terminator. That's still kind of modern. Murder by Death would not get as many people. It's a great movie, but wouldn't get as many people. White Heat. That would bring people in. I mean, unfortunately, that would be you'd have to have somebody like me telling people, no, you really do need to go see it. But it might work out as here, I will buy the ticket for you to go see, to just my friends. I'll pay for you to come and see it, and I could see that being they then convince their friends or family to go and see it. It's like I could see that where it's like it would work out. Seven Brothers with Seven Brothers, and that's a musical, a very, very good, very much an Americana movie. But it's very, very good. And it's like that's just one stack of movies that I have here. Looking around, I've got my Rocky collection. You put Rocky 1 and 2, especially Rocky 1 in theaters, a theater will make money on that. North by Northwest, yeah, that. Great Dictator would be harder. Here, I'm gonna do it this way because I got everything on the server. I'm just gonna start looking through that list instead of looking at the discs. 12 Angry Men, maybe that would be harder to say. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, I don't know. And also Disney probably wouldn't allow that. But yeah, Alien, I already mentioned. Apollo 13, yes, that would get people to come in. Arsenic and Old Lace, that would be hard. That would definitely be for some people. I would pay for their ticket, because that is such an amazingly good and funny movie. And that probably would be a word of mouth that you would see that you would see theaters make money from that. Back to the Future, the trilogy, that going back in the theaters, yep, that would make money. The 1989 Batman, yeah, it would make money. I don't think it would do quite as well, but that's also, it's a good movie. I enjoy it. There's a reason it's in my collection, but Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, those are both newer. Those wouldn't necessarily be there. It's not like they're classics. The 1959 Ben-Hur, that actually, there was a Fathom event thing with that was there. Which, I mean, maybe. It would depend. That one would be tricky. That would come down to marketing. The 1925 Ben-Hur, that would be hard. The Big Country, very good movie. That would come down to marketing, especially word of mouth. It is a very good movie. I very much recommend that one. The Black Hole from 1979, that's another Disney film, which, I don't see Disney doing this, because they've had such opportunity to do that. I mean, the whole Vault thing is so stupid. Blazing Saddles, oh yeah. I mean, there's actually a Fathom event thing coming for that in September, I think. I mean, like, look it up. That is actually going to be in theaters in September, and I am looking forward to seeing how many people do come for that. Boys Night Out, that is a... I'm not sure if... That is either a romantic comedy or rom-com. I consider, like, there's romantic comedy. It's like any man can enjoy a romantic comedy, okay? A rom-com, now it's starting to get a bit closer to the chick flick, which would be the third, and it's like, yeah, chick flick, it's harder for men to enjoy. I'm sorry, I'm just... That's my view on it. Boys Night Out, though, is kind of like in between rom-com and romantic comedy. It's one or the other. But it is actually quite entertaining, quite enjoyable, quite funny. Bridge on the River Kwai. Yeah, that would be marketing. You could market that well, and it would definitely get a lot of people to go, because that is such a good movie. Captain Horatio Hornblower. Yeah, you could do that. The trick that you need to market that for kids. It is just a good adventure kind of film there. Captain Newman MD. Yeah, you could definitely do that. Bit more of a drama. Bit more adult focus. I wouldn't see many people going to see it twice, but I think you could get people to go once. Casablanca, that you get people to go multiple times, I think, especially those who haven't seen it before. Close Encounters of the Third Kind, that would be a cinematic event. That being back in theaters. Come Live With Me, that's a unusual enough film. I think you could get people to go once, a few twice. The Court Jester, that you would get a lot of people to go multiple times. That is legitimately one of the funniest films ever made. I do think that there are better films, but it is still just so hilarious. I mean, find The Court Jester and watch it. I'm dead serious. Just go and watch. I think it is actually streaming at the moment as well, at least on Amazon. It might be streaming elsewhere. It is a hilarious movie. Dark City from 98. I don't know. Dispatch from Reuters. Maybe. And I'm like legitimately just going through everything. It's like, I don't know. That one would be harder. You need to price that right. Double Indemnity, that is a good film. You could definitely get people to watch that. Multiple times might be a little tricky. But definitely, yeah. That would be one of those hey, friend, you want to go? I think you should see this. Why? It's a great film. I don't know. I'll buy the ticket. Are you buying the popcorn? Don't push it. Failsafe. Failsafe would be tricky because if they know Dr. Strangelove, they're just gonna think of that. Fallen. That's in the 90s. No, I don't think that'd do so. Denzel Washington. It is a fine film, but Fantasia and Fantasia 2000, Disney. Disney's Disney. It's just say I don't think they would do it. But legitimately, if Disney did open up the back catalog, they would make so much money. It would actually depress people at Disney though, because it'd be like, how do we making these billions of dollars? We release the back catalog. What about the new stuff? They're not watching that. They're watching the back catalog. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Yeah, that would get people to go, but that would be like, the Fathom event kind of thing. Flight of the Phoenix, I already mentioned. Yeah, that would get people to watch. Like the original, not they did a remake. Flight of the Phoenix, the original one, is It's very good. I've not seen the remake, but it's like I remember trailers and showing ATVs, and it's like no, you can't have that there and have that story work. Forbidden Planet, yeah, oh yeah, you get people to go to that, and that's another one that if you also market that to kids, you're making money. Galaxy Quest, yes, absolutely, there would be people that would go for that. I mean, we're coming up on actually the 30th anniversary because that was actually no, this would be the 25th anniversary because it was released in 1999. You put that in theaters, you will make money on that. Gladiator from 2000, yeah, you'd get people doing. That's why they're doing a sequel, aren't they? The Goonies, you would make money, but that would come down to marketing. Great Dictator, that one would be tricky. Great Escape, that would not be tricky. You'd make money there. Guns of Navarone, yep, you'd make money on that one too. The 1977 animated Hobbit, you could. I don't know who has the rights to that, to be honest. How to Murder Your Wife, that's another one that would be more rom-com than romantic comedy, but still, it is actually quite entertaining, quite funny film. So that you market it right, like have that come out in February around Valentine's Day, that would make money. That legitimately would. It is a good movie. It is a funny movie. How to Train Your Dragon 2010. That's 2 reasons. Ice Station Zebra. That's harder to say. Ice Station Zebra is a good movie, but it does have weaknesses, such that I don't know how many people you'd have go twice. Well, it has a great soundtrack though, so the theatrical experience of that would make a difference. Inception 2010 though, 2 reasons. Independence Day, yeah, you could. The problem is the sequel is not that good. Invisible Boy, I've not watched that yet. That came on my disc, Forbidden Planet, because it's also got Robbie the Robot. It happened on Fifth Avenue. That 1947. That's a good movie. You could. It's a Christmas movie. I mean, it's just you'd have to target that. It's a mad world. That should make gobs of money. It's such a funny, hilarious film. The only issue is it is long. 2 hours 39 minutes. I know there's plenty of movies that are longer, but I mean it's and also it's that okay. Let me put it like this: a video game having a list of 6,000 credits is insane. A movie having a list of 6,000 credits is insane, unless it's a mad world because of how many stars that they had. It still would only have been in the hundreds, but it's like it is. They got so many people and so many of just the right people doing the right characters. It is such a good movie. Jaws, I mentioned, yeah, you'd make money on that. Especially if it's in the summer. I mean, it's like there's a reason it was the first true blockbuster movie. Kelly's Heroes, you'd make money. It would be the marketing right around classic Clint Eastwood and Telly Savalas, and you'd get some of it right in there. Like, yeah, include the at one point it's a World War II era film with Clint Eastwood, but you also have Donald Sutherland in there, and at one point you've got Clint Eastwood, Telly Savalas, and Donald Sutherland in a standoff, like high noon kind of standoff with a German tank. And Donald Sutherland does more of a Clint Eastwood impression for such a Western style standoff than Clint Eastwood. And it's just like, yes, yep. King of Kings, I like my biblical epics. It would depend on the time of the year. Like that around Easter, that would make money. Last Starfighter, great film. I mean, it really is that you definitely. The one thing I would say, I was thinking about this recently with The Last Starfighter. That is a film where once it hit home video is probably where it really, really made an impact, because that's the kind of movie where I could see, especially young boys, wanting to take that off the shelf and watch repeatedly. I know that's what it was for me, but it's like, and then growing up, it's like, yes, buy a copy. I've actually, that's the only Blu-ray I bought twice, because there was another release that's a bit better. And that also is part of it that you could do with some of this, is have some of these older films in theater, but then also have the DVDs and Blu-rays and such there to sell. That would make money. Lord of the Rings, I already mentioned, that's coming in June. The Man with No Name trilogy, yeah, you would make money for that. And I will say, I think For a Few Dollars More is the best of the three, not The Good and Bad and the Ugly. Manchurian Candidate, I mentioned that. Now I'm at like the MCU movies. I only have 2 myself. I would only purchase like through phase 3. I just haven't bothered with that. I don't think Disney would do that. Not recently enough, because that would be too much like we're abandoning it, so we're going back to just the old stuff. I don't think they would do it. The Marx Brothers movies, yeah, some you wouldn't necessarily want, but you put some of those in theaters, you will make money. Because they are so funny. I've got the original Matrix here. That, yeah, you'd make some. I wouldn't bother with the sequels. McClintock, it would be the trick there would be the marketing. Metropolis, that I could believe you would not make money on, at least not easily. That would be more like the Fathom event thing, where it's like 1 week or something, and it's announced weeks at a time, and so all the time to build up to purchase tickets. Minority Report from 2002, I don't think so. I mean, it would make some. I don't, but that might be like small scale kind of thing. Miracle of Morgan's Creek, that's a 1944 comedy. It's been so long since I've seen that. That would be like a weekend double feature kind of thing for actually making money. And what was the other one from earlier? There was another one from earlier. Hatman Fifth Avenue. I think there was something else. Come Live With Me. That and like Miracle Morgan's Creek, it kind of like Saturday double feature thing would work. Monty Python and Holy Grail, yes, that would make money. You would barely even have to advertise that. You need to let people know it's a thing. The Mortal Storm, 1940. That drama is a drama piece. Good movie. Don't get me wrong, it's a good movie, good story. Yeah, the trick would be the marketing. Mrs. Doubtfire, yep, that would make money. Murder by Death, that would make money. My Cousin Vinny, that would make money. The Natural, that would make money. I mean, it's like some of these are just that you put them there. The only of those four that would be tricky would be Murder by Death. To make sure people get it. Make sure they understand what it is they're going to. North by Northwest. Let me put it like this. Alfred Hitchcock was once asked, why don't you do a James Bond film? And he was like, I already did. It's North by Northwest. It is a very good film. Password is Courage. Good film. The book is also very good. I would actually love to see that remade to be closer to the book. But that if you market it correctly, you'd make money. And that you could probably do, maybe not necessarily a whole month, but you could probably get close to that. Patton, that you could do a full month on. Psycho, you could do 2 weeks. You might be able to do a whole month. That one's tricky because there are going to be some people that just don't like horror, and that would make some problems for them. And it's like good psychological horror. It's like so good. Anyway, The Quiet Man, that you do a month on. Yes. Because you would definitely have people, because that is just such a good, fun, entertaining movie. You would definitely have people that would go there and then like have to come back with more friends, and then those friends would be, I mean, it's like, that would definitely work. Yeah. Quo Vadis, biblical epic. Yeah, that would just be, you'd have to target Easter probably for that. Rashomon, I don't know, because of the whole subtitle aspect too there. You would probably still be able to make some money, but that might be more of a Fathom event kind of thing. RoboCop, that you'd make money on. Rocky, I already mentioned. Yeah. 1 through 4, I think you could definitely make money on. I've not watched the others, I don't really care to. But Rocky 1 and 2, and even 3, yeah, all easy to recommend. 4 gets a little weird. Runs on, Run Deep, that, yes. You market that right, that's such a good movie. Yes, you would definitely have people coming and coming back. The Samurai Trilogy. Well, that would be easier than Rashomon. The action of the Samurai Trilogy, you'd get people that would definitely come back and want to watch it again, or would come for one and definitely want to see all 3. Seven Brothers, yeah. Seven Samurai, yes, you would. That one you would barely need to market that even. It would just work. Short Circuit. I mean, it's not as good as Last Starfighter, but it would also be one of those you target that for. It is more of a kids movie, but it's good for adults. You target that for a younger audience, you'll make money. Spartacus, that's also good for abroad. The 1960s Spartacus, that's good for a broad audience. Star Trek the movies, yeah, you put 1 through 6. Well, you'll make money on the first one. You'll make money on Wrath of Khan. You'll make money, yeah, probably on the whole the trilogy, Search for Spock and Voyage Home. You might not make money on Final Frontier. Undiscovered Country, you'd make money on. Star Wars. Well, actually, didn't they do that? I don't know if they did make money putting those in, but the original trilogy, you put that in there, you'd probably make money. Stargate from '94. That's a little hard to say. That one's a little hard to say. That is just modern enough. I think that you need to market it right to build up for a grand science fiction adventure kind of thing. Support your local sheriff. That's just a classic James Garner Western comedy. It is quite good. But that would be, borderline double feature kind of thing, where you'd want it to be easy for people to watch it, and I think once they saw it, you would see them coming back because it is so funny. The Ten Commandments, both the 1923 and 1956 that I have. You could definitely do either. Well, the newer one, the 56. You could do that, and that could actually be more time. That you wouldn't need to limit to just on Easter. Terminator 2. Yeah, those would both make money. To Kill a Mockingbird would probably make money. Toy Story, that would almost certainly make money, the original. I also got Toy Story 2. Yeah, I mean, you'd still make money. Transformers, you'd make money. This is the 2007. I don't have the Transformers movie. I want to get that and, like, the classic cartoon as well. I just haven't yet. But Transformers 2, Revenge of the Fallen, no, that won't make you any money. That's a bad movie. I bought that just because I liked the first one. I hadn't seen it. I'm not doing that again. Tron and Tron Legacy, you'd make money on Tron. Well, you'd make money on both. I think you might be surprised how much money you'd make on Tron. But again, they're both Disney films. Tropic Thunder is... Yeah, you'd probably make some money. But it's too recent. V for Vendetta, same kind of deal. WALL-E, same kind of deal. Where Eagles Dare, that you'd make money on. That's a good World War II adventure film. White Heat, I mentioned, Witness for the Prosecution, Yojimbo and Sandro. Yojimbo is what Fistful of Dollars, Man with No Name trilogy, basically ripped off. It's actually really funny. I know, I am just talking. I am sorry, but it's like every single one of these films, except for Revenge of the Fallen, I would recommend. But Akira Kurosawa actually sued Sergio Leone over Fistful of Dollars being so close to just a remake of Yojimbo. And he actually won. Kurosawa won in Japan, and what he got were basically the distribution rights in Japan, and he did something that is just so absolutely hilarious. Because it's on the disc. It was like some Sergio Leone historian, and he actually got a poster, one of the Fistful of Dollars movie posters from Japan. And at one point, because he's a professor, at one point he had a student who's from Japan who can read Japanese, and he asks him, "Do you know what that says?" "No, could you translate?" "Yeah, it says Yojimbo 2. Akira Kurosawa had such a good sense of humor about this, and he just had it advertised in Japan as a sequel. It's nothing. It doesn't really connect up that way, but that's what he did. And Sandro is the actual sequel. Yojimbo is better in some ways, but Sandro is still a good movie. But those would both be the trick is just getting Americans to go to a film that is subtitled. I mean, hey, it worked though. Godzilla -1 proved that. I mean, it was wildly successful here, and that is a stereotype about American audiences that is disappointing, but it's true. That we tend not to go to movies where we have to read subtitles. But it proved that it can happen if it's a good movie. And, if there's an interest in going to see it. So, yeah, some of those, you could definitely manage that, but it's... Man, if only they could do the back catalog stuff. But the thing is, you don't have that with the video game industry because back catalog is basically always available on places like Steam, Epic, and GOG, and certainly plenty of other places. And also, once they have it, I mean, it's like I said, I'm Titan Quest Anniversary Edition. I've been playing that for a while. I have 250 hours in that about. I've got... Hang on, where? How many? Oh, I've also got about 250 hours in Civilization 5. I haven't played that for a while, but I can at any point. I can just install it and start playing. It's like that is one issue with the video games industry. And there's also the whole, let's say you go out and buy Civ 5, even at full price. What is that money going to fund? It's not going to fund a Civ 7 because they've already got Civ 6. I don't even know what Firaxis is doing. But it's like it's not going to necessarily fund that. It's going to fund whatever they're working on now. It would be a statistic that, hey, there's still interest in Civilization. but that doesn't mean it's going to lead to something new. Whereas, well, I guess it is also true with the studios, with the movie studios, where it is just funding the current stuff that may be crap. But at least with that, I think I think going to see a movie carries more weight than buying a game to play, because you never know. It might be it might just be somebody adding it to the catalog. It might have just been it's on sale. Yeah. But if you suddenly sorry, I'm just trying to think what would be it's just no. I was gonna say Seven Breaths. No, let's not do Seven Breaths. Bridge on the River Kwai or Patton. Both of those World War II epics. If you saw a lot of people going to see that, you know that Hollywood would respond by trying to do more, by trying to do World War II epic films. That would definitely happen. But a bunch of people suddenly buying and playing buying Civilization 5, that's not going to prompt 2K to be like, oh, we should do Civilization 7. That's not necessarily going to do that. And even if you see a lot of playing there, I don't think that would necessarily spur them to do Civilization 7. That I think that it especially because it's so many, yeah, I don't know. I don't even know why, because I'm feeling like there's a distinction here between movies and games, but maybe there isn't. Maybe I shouldn't be assuming that. And I don't know why. I just feel like with movies, it's a bit more reactive, a bit more, oh, this is the trend, we gotta jump on it. Whereas with video games, it's not necessarily always that way. A lot of times it is, yes. But I don't feel it's as constantly. Anyway, I really do need to stop. I've been talking so freaking long. I am sorry about that. But I like talking about movies and video games. I like talking about story in general, too. And maybe that's, you know what? Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. The point that I'm trying to make between the difference between movies and video games. In video games, the story is part of it. A movie is all about story, though. If you have, you can have a fun game that has a crap story and it will still sell, and people, and it's like, okay, well, what is the lesson that the studio takes away from that? It's the gameplay, but do they bother with the story? They might not. A movie, though, if you can't have a good movie that has a crap story. Okay, it's an all or nothing thing there. So, if you see suddenly a great deal of interest in World War II epics, it's like, okay, we have to make another World War II epic that's got a good story there. That, to make it good, it has to be everything is good there. That isn't the case with video games. You can have games with lousy stories, still a good game. You can have games with great stories, but the gameplay is bad, so it's not a good game. I'm saying that, I think, might be where that intuition of mine was coming from. So yes, that makes some sense. But yeah, it's as I already said, talking too long. I will see you next week when, I'm not going to make any promises. I'm not going to talk for a long time. I'm really not. And in just wrapping back to the Assassin's Creed thing, right now, because as I was saying back when I started, I know I'm still talking. Back when I was talking about that, it does seem more ahistorical than historical fiction, at least from this first impression I'm getting from it. Which could work out. The story's crap, but maybe the gameplay will be good. We will have to see on that. But it could also be that, no, everything is crap. Or maybe it'll be that the story's really good. You just have to accept that, yeah, this isn't historically possible. I guess that's a way to put it with the older Assassin's Creed games and their historical fiction, where it's like it's possible versus, no, there's actually reason to believe what you're saying is wrong. So, yeah, anyway. I gotta stop this, get it processed, and get it uploaded, and, yeah, shall see you next time. Maybe I'll keep it short. I'm making no promises on that. This is what I do. Alright, see you next time.